I need my medication. Shut up, you addict.
Ma'am, that's not real medication. You can't bring street drugs on this plane. Flight attendant Lauren Bennett snatched the inhaler from 16-year-old Aaliyah Carter's shaking hands. The cabin instantly went quiet. Delta Flight 447 rested at JFK, engines humming, passengers buckled in for the cross-country trip to Los Angeles. Aaliyah's dark eyes welled with tears as she clutched her chest, gasping. "Please," she whispered, barely audible over the engines. "I can't breathe without it." Lauren held the inhaler aloft like it was contraband evidence. "Next, you'll tell me that candy is chemotherapy." Her voice carried across first class, prompting uneasy glances and camera phones. Aaliyah's medical ID bracelet flashed under the overhead lights as she reached desperately. Lauren had served Delta for 12 years, taking pride in protocol and order. But looking at the black teenager in seat 23F, a storm of judgment eclipsed reason. Aaliyah didn't look like a typical first-class passenger, her hair tied simply, thrifted clothing, nothing designer. When she first tried sitting in 2A, Lauren assumed she'd made a mistake. "Where did you even get this?" Lauren waved the inhaler. "Your dealer?" The accusation lingered. Aaliyah pointed weakly to her medical bracelet. "Fake jewelry," Lauren dismissed without a glance. Nearby, Tina Alvarez was going live on Instagram. "At Travel with Tina, y'all. Watch this discrimination." Her phone recorded every gesture, every word, every humiliating moment. Aaliyah's attempts to explain through ragged breaths were met with cold skepticism. "I'm Aaliyah Carter. I'm 17, severe asthma, traveling alone to my grandmother's funeral." Lauren cut her off. 10 minutes to departure, save the sob story. The gate agents readied the aircraft for pushback, while Aaliyah's phone buzzed insistently, her father calling. Her carry-on with an MIT early admission letter sat above, ignored. "Either this goes in the trash," Lauren declared loudly, "or you get off my plane." Passengers murmured. First class fell silent except for the soft hum of recording devices. Sweat glistened on Aaliyah's forehead. Her lips tinged blue, signs of a serious asthma attack. But Lauren saw only the image she expected. Aaliyah's phone buzzed again. Her father's number flashed. Urgent. She fumbled to answer, but a coughing fit stole her words. Lauren's irritation grew. "Drama queen," she muttered loud enough for first-class passengers to hear. Several phones were openly recording now. The flight supervisor, Maria Delgado, stepped aboard at the gate. Her radio crackled with fragmented messages about a priority passenger. "What's happening?" she asked quietly. "Passenger in 23F trying to bring narcotics aboard," Lauren replied confidently. "Claims it's an inhaler, but look at her. Classic drug user behavior." Maria glanced at Aaliyah, who was leaning forward, struggling to breathe. Despite the severity of the situation, Lauren remained unshaken. "Did you check her medical documentation?" Maria asked. "Fake bracelet, sob story," Lauren dismissed. 12 years, I know a con when I see one." Meanwhile, Tina's live stream exploded. Tens of thousands were watching. Comments flooded in. "Let her breathe. Justice for Aaliyah." Retired doctor Dr. Henry Chen, seated in 20C, could no longer stay silent. "Excuse me, but she's showing severe respiratory distress. She needs her medication immediately." "Sir, remain seated," Lauren commanded. "This is a crew safety matter." "This is a medical emergency," Dr. Chen insisted, his voice carrying the weight of 4 decades in medicine. "She needs her inhaler now." Lauren's jaw tightened, unwilling to back down. 2 TSA agents appeared, called by Lauren to remove Aaliyah for suspected drugs. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us," the lead agent said. Aaliyah tried to speak, but could only gasp. Her phone buzzed again. Her father calling. "I'm being non-compliant," Lauren told the agents. "Aggressive when I confiscated the device." Dr. Chen stood firm. "Officers, she's in medical distress, not being non-compliant." The agents hesitated, caught between protocol and a medical emergency. 200,000 viewers now witnessing live. Have you ever seen someone's life-saving care delayed by someone's stubbornness? Passengers leaned in, watching history unfold. The cabin, tense and silent, waited as a young girl's fight for her own life played out in real time. Aaliyah's trembling fingers clutched her phone as her father's voice filled the cabin. "Dad," she gasped, barely audible, the exhaustion in her body clear. The cabin seemed to fall silent around her. Even the hum of the engines faded. "They won't let me use my inhaler." From the phone, Captain Julian Thompson, calm and authoritative, responded immediately. Put me on speaker. Aaliyah's hand shook, but she tapped the button. The voice echoed across the cabin, professional, commanding, and unmistakably powerful. Captain Thompson oversaw thousands of pilots and had direct access to Delta's top executives. Every flight attendant knew his authority. Janet Morrison froze. Her confident facade evaporated as the name hit her. She had no idea who she was dealing with. "This is Captain Julian Thompson," the voice continued. "Who am I speaking with?" Janet stammered. Flight attendant Janet Morrison. Employee ID 47291. There seems to be a misunderstanding. "There is no misunderstanding," Captain Thompson said sharply. "You are denying my daughter access to her prescribed asthma medication, correct?" The word daughter struck like lightning. Passengers exchanged glances, comprehension dawning. Janet's mouth opened and closed silently. Aaliyah, despite her labored breaths, managed a small smile. "Sir, I was following standard protocol," Janet tried. "You were following protocol?" Captain Thompson's voice cut through the cabin like steel. "There is no protocol for denying life-saving medication to a minor. You ignored her medical ID, dismissed a licensed physician, and created a hostile environment that could have killed her." Dr. Chen nodded approvingly, recognizing the precision and truth in every word. TSA agents exchanged uneasy glances. The situation had escalated far beyond a suspected drug incident. Social media was exploding, #Justice for Aaliyah trending worldwide. Maria Delgado, the flight supervisor, stepped forward. "We can resolve this immediately, Captain Thompson. Medication will be returned." "Too late," he replied calmly. "This has already been broadcast to hundreds of thousands of viewers. The damage is done. Janet's actions have consequences." Janet's hands shook as she still held the inhaler. The weight of her error, now exposed to the world, was crushing. Aaliyah took a shaky breath, using her inhaler as the tension in the cabin began to ease. Captain Thompson's presence, authority, and swift action had turned what could have been tragedy into accountability, witnessed live by millions. Have you ever seen courage change the course of events in mere minutes? The cabin remained tense as Captain Julian Thompson stepped onto the jet bridge, his presence instantly commanding every eye in the room. At 6.3 and exuding decades of aviation authority, he seemed to fill the doorway with an almost unstoppable force. Passengers, still holding their phones, recorded the moment with rapt attention. Janet Morrison, now fully aware of the gravity of her actions, stood frozen in the aisle. Her 12 years of service, built on procedure and assumed authority, were crumbling before the scrutiny of her superior. The inhaler, once a simple medical device, had become a symbol of her prejudice and poor judgment. "Janet Morrison, employee ID 47291, Captain Thompson began, his voice firm but professional. "Do you understand the magnitude of what you've done?" I was following protocols," Janet faltered. "Protocols," Captain Thompson interrupted sharply. "You assumed, ignored verified medical identification, dismissed a licensed physician, and created a hostile environment for a minor passenger. You nearly endangered her life." He pulled out his phone, referencing statistics with precision. Delta Airlines' annual revenue, average discrimination lawsuit settlements, Janet's salary. The numbers landed like hammers. Her mistake could cost the company far more than her entire career's worth. "This is not about numbers alone," he continued. "You violated federal regulations, Delta's own policies, and basic human decency. You now have two choices: immediate resignation with a neutral reference or termination for cause, permanent blacklist, personal liability, and potential criminal charges for endangering a minor." The cabin murmured in shock. Passengers recorded every moment, understanding the stakes. Janet's breathing grew shallow, her earlier arrogance replaced with panic. She hesitated, glanced at the witnesses, and finally whispered, "I resign." "Louder for the record," Captain Thompson commanded. "I resign from Delta Airlines effective immediately," she said, voice trembling but clear. Janet handed over her wings and badge, escorted by TSA agents. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The same officers she had called on Aaliyah were now leading her out. Before leaving, she issued a trembling apology to Aaliyah, acknowledging her wrongs. Aaliyah, finally safe, breathed deeply, color returning. Captain Thompson's decisive intervention had not only saved his daughter, but demonstrated the power of accountability. What would you do if someone ignored life-saving signs right in front of you? Janet Morrison froze in the aisle, wings in hand, the weight of every eye on her. Captain Julian Thompson's gaze was unyielding. "Janet, this isn't just a protocol error," he said, voice cold and precise. "You endangered a minor's life. You ignored medical documentation, dismissed a licensed physician, and created a hostile environment." The cabin fell into stunned silence. Phones continued recording. Social media had exploded. Justice for Aaliyah was trending globally. Janet's resignation was no longer sufficient. Within minutes, federal air safety authorities were notified. She was placed under FAA investigation for reckless endangerment, federal civil rights violations, and criminal charges for endangering a minor. Her employee record was flagged permanently, ensuring no airline in the country would ever hire her again. Delta issued an official statement. Janet Morrison had committed a career-limiting, legally actionable offense, and the company fully supported all pending legal actions. Passengers whispered as TSA agents escorted her off the plane. The reality of her actions and the consequences hit with crushing finality. Meanwhile, Aaliyah, inhaler in hand, felt relief wash over her as Captain Thompson knelt beside her. "You're safe now, and your courage just changed an industry." By the time Flight 447 reached cruising altitude, Delta had issued company-wide mandates: mandatory 40-hour medical device recognition training for all crew, immediate termination for violations, and integration with a new Metal Alert app to prevent future discrimination. Other airlines had already requested copies. 6 months later, Aaliyah testified before Congress, recounting the incident and its systemic impact. Her bravery, documented in real time, had triggered nationwide reforms, from aviation to healthcare. Have you ever witnessed abuse of power and wondered if it would be punished? From the other side of silence, toss stories. Drop a comment and share where you're watching from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story, because stories like this remind us that accountability is powerful and necessary.